here is a brand new 48 volt controller from Amazon for your crazy cart. So everything I'm going to show you right now is optional. You don't have to do it. Basically what we're going to do is remove all the connectors that we don't actually use. And we're doing that because I like to see things nice and clean. I don't like excess or things that don't need to be there. So for my mental health, we're just gonna get rid of those things. So let's take a look. Now this is actually, I don't need this, but I ordered it thinking that my controller was bad, and I found out that it was just a connector. What ended up being the problem was that one of these connectors here, over time of taking it apart and putting it back, the inside of this here ended up expanding because I had not heat shrunk the tubing around it. And it was not connecting. So what I did was I connected them back together. They are super tight now. I connected them back together and I used a lighter to actually shrink this. Then I used some pliers to pull them apart and a razor blade to trim the plastic shorter so that they were flush with the metal connector. So if your controller stops working all of a sudden for no reason or no apparent reason, then that may be your problem. Make sure that these connectors are actually touching when you close them. You would think that the way this is built that it's going to connect all the time, but I found out it isn't the case. So anyhow, this new controller here is for brushed motors. If you're going the brushless route, you'll need a controller specifically for brushless motors. On this channel right now, this is what I'm dealing with. If I don't mention it in this video, I probably won't have an answer for you if you buy a different controller. Also, you will need to be running 48 volts if you want to go faster. You can't put this on there and think you're going to go faster if you're sticking with 24 volts. It doesn't work that way. This just sends the voltage to the motor. So if you've only got 24 volts to send to the motor, this is not even going to send anything because it needs at least like 40 volts to send something to the motor. So this is your motor wire. You'll be cutting this off and using the connector from your old motor. This is your brake controller. We will not be using that one. So here's the interesting thing. This says power locks. We're actually going to use this. This is the on-off switch. Yeah, this will be going to your on-off switch on the cart. So we're not taking this off. Charging port. Now I don't use this. I have tried. You can try it if you want. But when I hooked this up to the charging port, it did not work for me on this controller. So I just go straight to the batteries with the charger. And you can see that in the other video. Also, watch all of my videos before you ask any questions, because more than likely, if I've answered your question already in another video, so please just watch the videos. Derailleur, I don't know what this word means, but this is the connection to your accelerator pedal, and we're going to keep this. We're just going to have to modify this corner here. Brake light, we're going to be removing this as well. Sport, I have tested this. This does nothing. I have jumped it while full throttle. I've jumped this connection. What that means is I put something in here to connect these two wires while I already have the throttle all the way down. It does not make anything go any faster. So we're also going to get rid of this. So we're going to open this up and we're going to take the guts out, and I will show you how we are removing these components off of the main board. So here's the controller on my actual cart. You can see I took that black connector, snipped it off, and this is the connector from the stock controller, the way I have it configured here. I actually don't have this heat shrunk. You can see it's soft and flexible. These have not been heat shrunk yet. I'm just going to remove them for the sake of simplicity here. The battery connector, same thing. Go bye-bye. That one has been heat shrunk, so it's rather stiff. We're going to open this up. We're going to start with taking these 4 screws out. So this is a little bit tricky to put back together, but you'll see. It's doable. I believe in you. You can handle it. Just be persistent and patient. So that just slides out like this, right? Now we've got 3 screws on this side, and we'll remove that, and the entire thing will pull right out. There. Now we can actually come on out. There's a plate right here that those screws attach to. So these 3 screws in the side, they're longer. Now the board can come straight out, just like this. I'll give you a close-up view of that. And the back side. The back side is what we're going to be touching. And a lot of this is labeled. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this on the video here. But let's get started. So we're back at the trusty vise here. If you don't have one, you don't necessarily need it. It's just going to make it a little easier. So the first one we're removing on the board is labeled SCD. Following these 2 black wires, sorry, black and red, right here, SCD. So I'm going to put this in my vise. You can snug it up pretty good here. And I've already got it, my soldering gun, nice and warm. And I'm just going to pull gently on the wire as I put heat on the wire. There. First wire is out. It's a bit tough to see in that last one, so we have 1 wire left, which is this red wire here. We're going to touch that. Slowly pull it. I know this is still not the greatest lighting here, I'm sorry. Come on, baby. This would come out better if I had a stronger or a hotter soldering iron. This thing is just lame. So there, now we got the second one out. Gonna pull them both. Which one was it? Which one are we pulling here? The brake light. So I just pulled this out. We don't need it anymore. Brake light can go bye-bye. Charging port. We don't need it. I'm gonna push that, see how loose that is? So the charging port comes all the way over here on the corner. What in the hell is all over my hands? Grease from something. Okay. These 2 right here on the corner, we're just going to get rid of those. Any order you want, don't matter. Doing the negative first. Come on, baby, almost. There we go. That one's out. Now we're going to do the positive. Here she goes. She wants to go. She wants to go. Oh, I got oil all over my vice grip from another project. Okay, that's why I've got oil all over myself. And here we go. I'm gonna pull out the charging port. That's loose. Goodbye. So it's getting cleaned up a little bit here. What's the next one? Indicator. Indicator we don't need. It's another black and red connector here. Gonna get rid of you. So we'll hold it back here. We'll push it. Find out which ones we got. It looks like these two. Right here in the middle. Gonna take those off. Come on. There we go. Got the negative off. Now we're gonna go for the positive. Like I said, it would go a lot faster if I had a hotter soldering iron. This is only 35 watts, so it's obviously not ideal for this job. There goes that. Also, when you're getting these off, you want to make sure that you don't have any solder connecting these parts on the back. Otherwise, it's basically closing the connection and doing the thing that you don't want it to do. So there goes the indicator. That's gone. What else do we got here? Okay, so we need the pedal. We're keeping the pedal. Sport. We don't need sport. The yellow and green. That's real simple. Now that we got so few there, it's very easy to see which one is yellow and green. It's these right here. There we go. And now we're going to do the yellow. And boom. So now we are done with the sport. We don't need that one. Goodbye. Anything else? So that's it. It's that simple. Now we got to put this thing back in there. That's what we took off. 5 useless connectors. Real quick, I want to show you what the board looks like with everything removed. All of those connections are gone, except for these few right here. Okay. Now the job is to get this back in here. And it can be a little bit of a challenge, but it's worth it. And like I said, if you don't want to take these things off, you don't have to. So I'm going to slide this in here. And I'm going to put... So on this side, you'll see you can slide it left and right, and there will be some holes that show up. You see that in there, the slots, how the holes line up at a certain point? So I'm going to get those holes lined up, and then I'm going to drop a screw in here. Boom. I got one screw in there lined up. Now that that screw is in there, we want to put our plate in with the same orientation. That plate basically attaches these parts to the casing, and it's a giant heat sink to make sure it dissipates heat correctly. So I've got my one screw in there. I'm going to slide this down in here and try to catch onto that screw. The first one is the easiest one because you can see it. You can push this in here and then line it up like that. And it does not want to move. So to me, that indicates it's actually there. I'm pushing, my thumb or my first finger is pushing this way. And I've got the screw lined up as best as I think I can. I'm going to slowly turn that. And this time I can feel the screw coming through the back of the plate, which is exactly what we want. That's beautiful. Just like that. You can see the screw on the back side of that plate. That will help us get the other two in there. Nice. So I got, ironically, I got the back one and the front one before the middle one. But now that that's in there, this middle one should go in there pretty easy. There we go. You don't want to tighten it too hard. You don't want to crack or break anything. Just make sure it's all snug. Nice. And you can see, hopefully you can, I have all 3 of them in there. All 3 of those screws right in there. Now this top goes back and we'll screw the top on. Voila, that is the finished controller with the only connections that you truly need, which will be your motor, your battery connection, your on-off switch, and your pedal.